Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Mujeeb. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Mujeeb. Imam Sahib is saying that the blessed days of Ramadan go by very quickly when the blessed month begins, and then before you know it, the end comes, and is just as it says in the Holy Quran, Ayyamum Madudat, that this month of Ramadan, which brings with it numerous blessings, that all believers remember that they are only a few days and they will pass. So the lesson here is that do not think it as a burden, and do not forget about your or ignore your obligations. Try to benefit from Ramadan morning and evening. And Imam says, just as it says in English, make hay while the sun shines, that when we should make use of the sun when it's around. Similarly, the time of Ramadan goes very quickly, and we should try to make use of the remaining days in the best way possible. In today's dars, the first tradition is from the book Abu Dawood, and the Arabic is that the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "At-tudatu fi kulli shay'in khairun illa fi amal al-akhirah." Imam Sahib says that it's a very subtle and exquisite subject which is mentioned here, and it is often something that isn't in our minds. The translation of this is that to be careful and methodical, and to perform something slowly, and this an action which is done in this way, this is useful in everything, and it is good to be careful. But the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that as far as the things to do with the hereafter are concerned, you should not delay at all. Imam said that sometimes when it becomes a habit that people do something slowly, they start doing everything slowly, sometimes because of laziness or lethargy, or it becomes their habit that they do everything very, very careful, very, very slowly. But the result of the action which would give you the blessings of the hereafter, then about such matters the Holy Prophet ﷺ said that it's not right to do things slowly, because it is not good to delay anything that is going to benefit our hereafter. So those things that are to do with reward, then those matters should not be delayed, and in that one should try to do it as quick as possible. So there is you should not wait. If you think of something good, then you should not think about whether you should do it or not. We should do it as soon as possible, as soon as one is granted the capacity by Allah. Imam says that sometimes it happens that one think of something good. For example, if somebody thinks about taking part in building a mosque or something, but people are sometimes lazy, and then what happens is that good thought goes away, fades away from their minds. That good instigation goes, so, and one loses that chance. So it's a lovely advice that the Holy Prophet ﷺ has given us, that it is beneficial and it's good to stop oneself from making a mistake by doing things slowly. But when it comes to things to do with the hereafter, we should try and do them very quickly. Any chance that we get that we come across, we should act upon it as soon as one can, because otherwise the time may go by and the chance may go, and one may not be able to do it again. The next tradition is taken from Muslim, the book of traditions, and in this the Holy Prophet, our beloved Lord and Master, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says that Imam is just reading the Arabic. So he says that if anyone among you witnesses something evil or something bad, so then the Holy Prophet ﷺ advises that you should try to stop it with your hand, and if you cannot do so, then he should at least stop it with his tongue. And even if you don't even have the strength to do that, then at least quell it from your heart. So try to remove that evil from your heart, and this is the weakest standard of faith, and this is the least likable thing. So the first thing, the best thing to do is, when you see something bad, you should try to stop it with your hand, and if you can't do that, then at least do it with your tongue. But if you cannot do that either, then you should at least in your heart regard it as something bad. So here there is a style of the reformation of society that is mentioned, and it's a very useful advice which we often forget. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ, with much wisdom, tells us that if any of you in your society, they see somebody doing something bad, they see them say something bad or any such action which is evil, then he should try with sympathy, he should try to stop the person from committing that wrong by holding their hand. And if somebody cannot do this, sometimes some people are weak and they don't have the strength to do so, then at least you can say something to them from your mouth. You say to them that this is wrong. You say, brother, this is wrong, so please stop doing this. But if you cannot do it by your hand, then you should at least do it with your tongue. Sometimes Imam Sahib says that somebody might be your friend or relative, and sometimes this can cause you to hesitate in holding your friend or your relative and stop him from doing something wrong. Or how can I use my tongue against something that he's doing, so he will get upset with me. So because of this, one loses a chance to do something good. So the Holy Prophet ﷺ says that if someone cannot attain both of those standards because of his own weak faith, then the least thing he can do is that in his heart he should think of this is something wrong, and it could also mean that he should regard it as being wrong, and one thinks that I couldn't stop it by hand or by my hand. So if you dislike something from the heart, then one way that could be done is to pray for that person that he should not do that anymore. So to just think of it as something evil in your heart, then even that can become something useful when we pray for them from our hearts, from the bottom of our hearts, that Allah may protect him from any excesses or any evil, and may he not think of that weakness. So after the Holy Prophet ﷺ described these 3 stages, he says that these are to think in your mind or to disagree with something, and then if you want to make this particular kind of action the best possible, then you should at least pray for them, and that will make even this stage a useful stage. The next tradition, the Holy Prophet ﷺ says, "Inna Allah la yanzuru ila suwarikum wa amwalikum, walakin yanzuru ila qulubikum wa a'malikum." that, O believers, remember that Allah does not look at your finances or to your looks. He looks at your actions. This is a very comprehensive tradition, and Imam Sahib says that this is something we should write it across our hearts, and it should become embedded in our hearts, that Allah, He will never look at your faces or to your. He will never be impressed with your wealth, but the most useful thing and the most everlasting thing for Allah is that Allah looks at your hearts. It's the most useful thing to remember. So Allah knows your intentions, and to your and He looks at your actions, and He rewards you accordingly. So this is what you should be worried about the most. Those things which people normally think about, people normally expect that somebody should look good or somebody should gain wealth. These are not the things that impresses Allah. Allah is only impressed by the kind of heart someone has, and how he acts, whether he acts in a good way or not. So always keep your hearts and your actions keep an eye on them. If your hearts are good and you have good intentions, then this is what Allah accepts, and may Allah always enable us to remember this, and may Allah enable us to cleanse our hearts and our actions, so that our actions are acceptable in the eyes of Allah. May Allah enable us to do so. Ameen.